All aboard and welcome everyone back to another episode of Animation Station. I still mess it up, but we're going to go for it. I am Brandon C. McClure. With me this week is Ben Magnet. Once again, hello, sir.
On aboard, let's go. That was my
Because-
best impression of Casey Jr.
That works out. Because we are talking about, actually that doesn't make any sense with what we're talking about, but we
No,
are
it doesn't.
talking about Digimon Adventure Tri Part 4, Loss.
Yeah, there is a train in this movie. There is a
There-
train.
There is a train in this movie. We did
Yes.
it, guys. We did it.
Digimon Animation Station and Digimon. We finally did it. We have a train. I'm just glad it's not called Trainmon. Is there a
that's just
Digimon called Trainmon?
Let's find out.
Oh god, if there's a Digimon called Trainmon, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I just found out that one of Devimon's Digivolutions is Demon. Just Demon.
Demon?
Demon. Which I thought was pretty
what?
funny.
It kind of makes sense. I'm actually surprised
Oh.
I'm surprised Myotismon, when he digivolves into Venom Myotismon, he doesn't. It's not like Draculmon or something. Like they step away because obviously he's Dracula.
Japanese, apparently Japanese, the Japanese is Venomon. And
Venomon.
we made Myotismon.
Oh.
So
Okay.
Myotismon is our, so like Gachamon in Japan is Tailmon.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a few times we ran into this last week, right? Like with
With
Kabuterimon.
with Mega Kabuterimon.
So there is a train Digimon, but his name is Trailmon. So there you go.
That's okay. Trailmon. Okay.
We learned something new. We learned something new today. That's what you're gonna get this week. So yeah, so we're talking about Digimon Adventure Tri Lost. This movie came out in 2017, directed by Kentaro Mochinaga, written by three people: Yuka Kakihara, Yunika Agana. I gotta write better. And Yasuhiro Nakanishi. When I was working at Photochem, my boss told me, "You got to fix your handwriting because I can't read this." And now I see what he was talking about.
You kidding me? There are times where I fill out like birthday cards and other things to like family members, and I still write in cursive. I'm like the only person I know of in my entire friend group, my entire family, who still writes in cursive on the regular. Like my notes, even for like just regular, as you can see, they're all in cursive, and I don't get shit from it from my family, but it's definitely one of those times where my family members look at me and is like, why do you still write in cursive? And for me, it's just easier.
You took a lot of school to heart, is what happened, because
Yeah, probably.
And I noticed this in your writing too. You still do the double space after the period.
Oh yeah, that's ingrained in my brain. I was taught that's how you're supposed to do that to write papers, so I always do that.
No one does it. You're the only person I know who's ever done it.
School. What? Okay, we're not here to talk about school. We're here to.
You know
talk
what
about
I think it
Digimon.
is. You know what I think it is. I think it is because typewriters. I think it's a holdover from typewriters, because a single space after a period might bleed into the previous sentence, but a double space wouldn't. That's my theory anyway. Maybe I'm wrong.
That makes sense. But anyways, going back to Digimon Adventure Tri Loss.
Yes.
So I will dive right into it and say that I really, really enjoyed this movie.
I did too. Yeah, I really like this one. This is probably my second favorite. That said, I actually don't think there's any purpose to them erasing the Digimon's memories. I still don't think there is. I think this movie is really good, and I think it's really fun. There's a lot of really good stuff here, especially because it's more focused on Sora, which is really nice. But I don't think... I think you could have gotten the same story if the Digimon hadn't lost their memories. That said, there's a lot of comedy to be mined from that, which I do appreciate. But let's talk about the beginning first, because we are presented with a flashback.
Yeah, I swear, every time one of these movies start, there's this crazy intro, this crazy flashback or like something that like obviously it's all gonna boil down to one whole thing. But seeing Himikawa and Nishijima as kids with their own partner Digimon, and now it kind of makes sense. Where it's like, oh,
So there's a lot. There's a lot here in that
yeah,
opening.
yeah.
Like
And
good.
no, and not only that, whereas it's like, okay, this is why Nishijima is probably doing what she's doing because she wants to get her partner Digimon back. She's just so because once again, we've been talking about how a lot of the titles for these films reflect one of the main themes of the film, like determination, confession, and with this one is dealing with loss, whereas Nishijima is dealing with the loss of her partner Digimon, and she's been working for years to try to get them back, and where Sora is dealing with the loss of Biomon's memories, and she's like she feels like she lost her partner, and she just wants to get that connection again.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I do wish Himikawa's story was a bit more prevalent because it feels like an afterthought in the
It,
movie.
yeah,
Um, Only because like the Digidestined don't like uh aren't with her ever.
hmm,
They don't know this is what's happening. They don't know this is why the reboot has happened. Or they never see her in the digital world. They only see Jedi,
right.
which is fine. But I kind of wish that Himikawa's story was a bit more focused because it just kind of like so what we learn is that Himikawa and what's the guy's name?
Nishijima,
Nishijima, they were Digidestined before our Digidestined. It was just we've known about previous Digidestins
yeah,
before. Like we knew that our Digidestined weren't the originals anyway.
yeah, like
Um,
O2 explored that idea, I believe.
yeah, there's a lot of Digidestined. And so Himikawa and Nishijima, but they're a bit more prevalent because they fought the Dark Masters with their Digimon. By the way, great to see the Dark Masters again.
Hmm.
Um, and through their fight, their partner Digimon, not specifically not Himikawa's, but the other partner Digimon became the harmonious ones, which are Digimon we met in the original series. The four corner god Digimons, the dragon and the turtle and all this. And so like we now have an origin for those Digimon, which feels like it should be a bigger reveal than it is. Because like as far as lore goes, we are really excited to see this moment. Like, oh my god, so that's what this is. But again, our main characters never learned this. They never interact with this information. They never talk to Himikawa in the whole movie. That's so I really like this movie, but that's kind of where one of my biggest failings is that Himikawa's story isn't intertwined well enough with the Digidestin. Because
Hmm.
again, we learn something so monumental about the origin of the digital world, about the characters that we met in the original series, the harmonious ones, and how Tapirmon was sacrificed, and because he was sacrificed, he can never be reborn. Which is holy shit. What
Yeah,
a cruel thing to do. And I know it's like supposed to be like this big like to defeat the Dark Masters, they like sacrificed their friend because like that was that and I'm sure like if we saw the scene play out like a normal scene, and Tapir Mom was probably like, okay, I want to do this. This is my purpose. This is what will defeat the Dark Masters. But Himikawa has always blamed the Harmonious Ones for destroy for because she was the only one who lost a partner and she could
hmm,
never get that partner back. Even TK got Angemon back.
yeah,
So like it's really so like I find that stuff really interesting and it's really cool. I just wish it was more entwined with the main story of this movie.
yeah. I really want that too because I know that the main focus of the film is, of course, the kids. It's the Digidestined. It's them trying to get their reconnect with their Digimon partners, and Sora being the main focus of that with her and her relationship with Biyomon. But when you drop that these characters who were kind of mysterious, I mean, Nishijima isn't that mysterious, but Himekawa, I would argue, is.
Mhm.
When you see her, like when Mekumon goes crazy and it cuts to her with that little tiny smile, like she's like, "Yes, my plan is working." You would think that they would actually. involve her more in the story, because now it's revealed that she is an antagonistic force. She has a
Yeah.
drive. She's driving the reboot. She wants Meicoomon to go crazy. She wants the reboot to happen, all for arguably a very selfish goal of getting Tapirmon back. And she goes down a villain path, and she's really willing to work with this entity called King Drazel, who I have no idea who King Drazel is.
Yeah, it's so interesting that halfway through this movie, this like movie series, we were like, oh, what's homeostasis? What is this? What is this? What is this homeostasis thing? And now we know that homeostasis is probably a good guy, and King Drazel is the bad one. And we're like, what? Who's Drazel?
Yeah, I'm just it's like follow-up question. It's like, okay, question. Who's King Drazel?
You haven't even told me who homeostasis is now, and now I got to
Yeah.
figure out who King Drazel is.
Yeah, it's I know we have two more films after this, and hopefully I know I keep saying this throughout our review of these films, where I hope that or questions get answered later down the line. But it's still one of those things where it's just like where I'm just like, huh? Now,
Yeah,
not to say that. I mean, I know they're trying to build some stuff up, but at least with going back to the original series, at least whenever we meet our big bads like Devamon, Edamon, Myotismon, the Dark Masters, etc., at least we know they're the bad guys, and we know they're plotting something, and the Digidestined have to step in and stop them, do whatever the heck they're doing. And
yeah.
then
This
like
is
we get like when we get introduced, is like, hey, here's King Treazel. It's like, who?
like I don't even mind that you've introduced this villain, this like overarching villain, because especially now that Jedi has kind of revealed himself to the Digidestin as being being Dark Jedi. And like you I don't mind that we've introduced, but we have still so many questions about who homeostasis is,
Hmm.
and so like I kind of wish we got an answer like, oh, homeostasis is actually a good, because we kind of get it through like context clues that homeostasis is probably a good guy. This whatever this is like the person who created the concept of digidestined to create balance to the digital world,
Hmm.
to allow the digital world and the human world to exist harmoniously. And King Drazel wants to destroy that. Like, okay, I wish that was more explicit, because now you've introduced another mysterious character that I have to think about. Also, I wish that it was more consistent with its villain Digimon, because we get Machine Dramon and we get Metal Seedramon, who are
Hmm.
both Dark Masters. Um, but in the first movie we had Alphamon,
Yeah.
and then we saw him originally again. We saw him again for briefly. Like I kind of wish that Alphamon was like the villain of like the Digimon villain, or like
Yeah.
I don't love using these two Dark Masters to just kind of make them mindless monsters. I wish that we had gotten more. I know Machine Dramon does not have the greatest personality, but Metal Seedramon did. Like Metal
Yeah.
Seedramon did have a personality, and it kind of sucks that you've stripped them of that just to kind of make them these rampaging Digimon that the Digidestined have
I
to fight.
I will definitely say that while it is glad, it does make me happy to see a bunch of Digimon from the original show. From we keep talking about nostalgia and our love of the original series, because nostalgia is a hell of a drug. But I do 100% agree with you that seeing Metal Seedramon just go blah and none of his personality is showing through, because we get scenes we get scenes from the original show. Like we see the kids in their original clothes every once in a while. Like we saw Izzy with Tentomon in the very beginning, like when he says goodbye to Tentomon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you guys are obviously, we know the original show exists. We know we're building off of that. Can we please just give some of these Digimon like their personalities, or like some like seeing Metal Seedramon, like when he was the first Dark Master the kids fought, and the kids knew that, oh, we're in for a fight. This is some
Yeah.
bad juju going down, because they're all mega level Digimon. They're all strong as shit.
This is
And
kind of
so
an
many.
issue that I have with Digimon Adventure 2020 also,
Mhm.
which is the show that I'm currently watching. Which is actually going to come up a few times in this episode. That I think it's the thing that makes Digimon interesting is that the Digimon have personalities. They have
Mhm.
unique personalities to them, as crazy as the ones that we even the ones that we created for them, like whatever. But like the villain Digimon had like goals and motivations and had wildly cool personalities that you could latch onto. Myotismon is like, people like Myotismon not because he looks like Dracula, but because he's cool, right?
He's a suave mother effer. I will not lie. Like when like I will never forget when Myotismon was first introduced. I was just like creeped out, but I was so intrigued. And then when he goes into the human world and he essentially lures women to bite them to suck their blood, it's creepy, but it's like he's a suave, cool mother effer.
Yeah, it's like one of those like, oh my god, he's hot.
Yeah, exactly. It is the Squidward. Oh my god, he's hot. It's exactly that.
It's one of the things, but like, so one of the things that I think this show fails at, and Digimon Adventure 2020 fails at, is that we don't get those personalities anymore. The evil Digimon are just there to be mindless monsters.
Okay.
Like, for example, in Digimon Adventure 2020, there is a big Digimon called Millenniummon. He's this like, he's like the main big bad for the show, even though there's still 17 episodes left, and he's been defeated. I don't know what they're doing. But he's like this big like monster Digimon who, do you remember Chimeramon? He looks like he's got like the body of Greymon, the head of Kabuterimon,
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
So he's the Digivolution of that. So he's massive, and like Millenniummon is this horrible, evil Digimon that wants to destroy the digital world. We have to destroy him, and he's just a monster. And I'm like, this is a monster. Like I don't care about this villain. You've been building him up for so long that I thought he'd be like cackling maniacally or like have something, but you've kind of just made him into like this mindless beast, and I miss. That's kind of the failing of like, I think, modern Digimon. And I haven't seen all the new shows, by the way. And I know you haven't either, Ben. But like, that's kind of the failing here, where it's like, I miss when Digimon villains had personalities.
Yeah. Like we were talking about personalities. One of the personalities that actually I immediately think of, because I remember during his arc of the Dark Master episodes, it was so prevalent, it was such a major thing, was Puppetmon. And all Puppetmon really wanted was just a friend. So he kidnaps TK and tries to force TK to be his friend. And looking back on it now, like, once again, it's been years since I've last seen it, but from what I remember, I mean, when I was first watching it, it kind of made me hate the Puppetmon arc. But now that I look back on it, it's kind of sad, because all he really wants is a friend, but he doesn't know how to have friends, and he thinks the Dark Masters are his friends, when really they're just a cabal of evil Digimon trying to rule the digital world.
Yeah, and so when you get to Digimon Adventure 2, when it's revealed that Myotismon is going to be revived, he's going to come back somehow as Venom Myotismon, like, you have a sense of dread, because you're like, oh shit, not that guy. Like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're scared because you're like, you know who this guy is. But like, Machine Dramon shows up, and initially you're like, holy shit, Machine Dramon? Oh, all right. Because it's clearly not the same Machine Dramon.
Right. And I know we talked about the power scaling in Digimon, how like the power scale is just like, woo! It's essentially someone just like going all over the place, and whereas like when a rookie punches Machine Dramon in the face, and Machine Dramon just like gets like knocked, he doesn't get knocked out, but he goes flying for a few feet away, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. So let's come back to Machine. Let's put a pin in Machine Dramon, because there's a lot. Okay. There's a lot here at the end of the movie that I that we should talk about. But I want to go a little bit earlier, and talk about okay.
Yokomon's so mean.
Yokomon is a bitch.
What the fuck? It's like,
I literally wrote, why is Yokomon such a dick?
I wrote Yokomon is so mean, because I mean, my first note is Himikawa and Nishijimi. I'm like, what are the Dark Masters doing?
Yeah, I really so like, this kind of comes into the thing. Like, I still think you could have probably done the storyline without the reboot, and the erasing the memories. but there is still some interesting stuff to be mined here because like all the Digimon are like when they show up, it's like, hey, we're partners, we're friends. The other Digimon are like, cool. All right, cool. Yeah, this makes sense. This makes total sense to me. You got food? Great. I like you guys. I don't even know why I like you guys, but I like you guys.
Yeah,
Also,
like
it's really nice to see Gatomon just there with the original Digimon because she didn't have this
yeah.
initial moment originally. It's nice to see.
Yeah, she was under Myosmon's thumb for the whole time, but it is really nice to see like Gatomon's pre-evolutions and
Yeah.
like when Kari's trying to get to her, and she's like, "Hey, you smell like my whistle." And then like even later on when Tentomon's with Mimi and Tentomon's like constantly calling out for Izzy, and he goes, "I don't even know why I'm calling out for Izzy. I just met this guy." And Mimi is like, "Oh, that's because you guys are like really close partners and all
Yeah.
this stuff." And
But Biomon, but Yokomon is like, no, screw you guys.
yeah. I mean, Sora just accidentally steps on one of her petals, and then she goes, ah! And all of a sudden, she's just like, seeing Yokomon with like the mean face is just like so jarring. Because for 20 plus years, every time I would see Yokomon, she was all like bright eyed, happy, like, oh, yay, Sora. Now seeing her is like, I don't know you. I don't like you. I hate you. It's just like, oh, ow.
But this is where I think the movie succeeds really well in focusing solely on Sora. We talked about this in the last movie, Confession? What was the last
Yes,
one?
confession. Yeah, the last one was confession.
So we talked about in the last one where it's clearly a TK movie, but it acts like it's supposed to be an Izzy movie, and it's really weird because like it doesn't quite work out very well because the character who gets the mega isn't the character that this movie should be about. But this time, it from the beginning, this is Sora's movie, and they remain focused on Sora's story and how she's reacting to it, and I really like that. I'm really happy that they really like honed in on like this is Sora's story. She's upset because because everyone else is getting along with their partners, just like nothing has ever happened except for her, and she is someone who has always tried to be kind of a mother figure to everyone else. So, but what happens when she needs help and she doesn't know how to ask for it? And
Exactly.
I think that really works.
Because the whole time, and then it flashes back to the last film where Biyomon tells Sora's like, "Hey, you gotta take care of yourself. How are you feeling?" And she's like, "Oh, don't worry about me." And it's very shocking because when she does need help, she doesn't really know how to convey those feelings, but everyone else can tell, especially Mako when she ends up in the digital world and she sees Sora, like when Biyomon is like sleeping on Mako's lap, and Sora is all like bundled up by herself, and she's like, "This is horrible. Why is Sora? You got to talk about this. We hate seeing you like this."
Actually, pairing her and Mako was a really good idea. And
I
was this the movie we saw in theaters?
I don't know. I want to
We
say
saw one of them in theaters, and I think it was
we.
this one
I maybe it was. I want to say it was,
because
but I can't remember. I thought
I
it was
remember
coexistence.
I remember something with Mako made the entire theater groan because at that point, like people were really hard on Mako, and I think
hmm
at the end, initially, it's really like, okay, why is she so whiny? Why is she so annoying? Why is she so this? Why is she that? But actually, I really like. I've ended up really liking her on this rewatch because I think there's a lot here where, yeah, all right, so she's a little bit more naive than the other Digidestin, but especially here in this movie when she like says to Sora, it's like it's basically says to Sora, it's okay to not be okay. Like let yourself not be okay because this sucks, and I'm sorry this sucks. But like you have to kind of you kind of have to let yourself feel that. And I really like that scene between them around the campfire there, especially
Yeah.
when Biomon is laying on Mako's lap, and Mako is like, I didn't. Oh shit! Like this can't be good for Sora.
Uh huh. Yeah, I 100% agree because I think when I first started watching these movies, I was kind of like on Mako, but at the same time, Mako. I want to say that the bonds and the reason why that are the Digidestin that we know and love, the reason why they're so gung ho, that they're so tight knit, is essentially because they went through so much shit
Mhm.
when they were kids. Obviously, they went through all the fights in the digital world. They fought Myotismon in the real world. They have been constantly fighting these evil Digimon ever since they got wrapped up in this. And there's a bond there that was forged that other people on the outside unfortunately will not understand. And even though Mako is in this now and she's trying to understand, she's trying to get this, because when she met Nekumon, it was essentially all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
And it
Theoretically,
was,
she probably met Mekumon around the same time that they met their partners.
yeah. But the thing is, with Mako and Mekumon, they didn't have to go through all these trials and tribulations. And that's why for Mako, this is all so new. This is all so terrifying. Whereas for the compared to the rest of the kids, it's like, it's another Tuesday.
Right, because this is the first time that Mako has been in the digital world.
Yeah.
And that brings me to another thing that you kind of touched on, which is in the beginning, we saw that the Digestion were pulling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Joe was studying, Mimi was often wherever, Matt and Ty just weren't getting along. And yeah, they have this bond. They are friends for life because of this bond with their Digimon that they went through for about 2-ish years. They and so like, but it's only because but the Digimon coming back reminded them of how close they were, which is what Joe was really pushing up against with in the second movie, right? Like Joe was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do this anymore. But that all by not wanting to do this anymore, that also means giving up your friends.
Yeah.
And he finally realized, like, I don't want to give up my friends. I love these people. I want them. I want to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so like now that they have come back to the digital world, and to them it's like, this is what we do. We save the digital world. We go where we are here. We're familiar here, and they even go to familiar places, right? Like when they're split
Yeah.
up by Machine Dramon, they end up in familiar locations that we've seen in the original show, which I
Oh,
thought was a really clever way of
oh yeah.
reincorporating old environments.
Exactly. Like the when Sora Mako when with Sora and um Mako, they were in the area where Meramon first fight and Biomon first digivolves.
Yeah, and so like with all the desert with all the power poles
Yeah, the
and
desert with all the power poles. And like I really enjoy seeing File Island again, kind of like how it was.
mhm.
Um because it was like, hey, I'm back at the place where it all started. Because File Island is where the story began for the Digidestin. It's where they met their partner Digimon. It's where they fought Devamon and all this really cool. And this is where the adventure began. Like seeing the house with all the where like maybe sees the haunted house with Bakumon, and she's
That's a really good point. That it looks exactly like it did originally,
mm-hmm,
because of the reboot, because remember when they came back to the digital world after they fought Myotismon, the Dark Masters has warped the digital world to look like something new, and
yeah,
then in Adventure 2 it looked like something different also. So yeah, I didn't notice that. You're right. The digital world was rebooted back to its original state when they
mm-hmm,
first arrived,
yeah. And even when TK wakes up, he wakes up in the nursery with the Lekmon.
which I loved. I'm so happy they went
Oh,
back to the nursery with the Lekmon.
me too. I'm just glad Lekmon is still like just this really cool, kind Digimon.
Oh,
And he's like, hey, you're helping me take care of these little carpet crawlers. I'm okay. I like how he calls the baby Digimon carpet crawlers.
but Alekmon brings up wait, where did it go? But Alekmon brings up a really good point that something this reboot didn't work. There are a lot of Digimon who are not reborn, who are still in their mega forms, in their ultimate forms, and Alekmon is a rookie, right? Or a champion?
Lekmon's a champion.
I thought Alekmon was a rookie
No, he's a champion.
because I thought he digivolved into Leomon, who's a champion.
I don't think, you know what? Let me look that up real quick.
You want to know? You want to know a fun little rabbit hole I went down last week while you do that?
Oh, what rabbit hole did you go down? I am
I looked
curious.
up so many Digivolution lines, and
Oh,
you know what I
really?
found out?
What'd you find out?
Patamon's Digivolution line is more complicated than the entirety of Kingdom Hearts. That's an over exaggeration, of course, because I've not played Kingdom Hearts. I don't know for sure. But
Uh,
the Digivolution lines are quite complicated.
let's see. Lekmon. Oh, yeah. According to the Digimon Wiki, Lekmon is a rookie.
So yeah, so Elekmon would probably, I think he probably Digivolves into Leomon, right?
Uh, Sunamon, Zurumon, Black Garurumon, and Leomon. Yeah, he evolves into Leomon.
So what you're seeing in that Digimon wiki is the fact that the Digimon actually have multiple Digivolution lines. They can Digivolve into anything. Well, not necessarily anything. There are specific things they can't Digivolve into. But for example, Patamon can Digivolve into Devamon. It is possible for Patamon to Digivolve into Devamon.
Yeah, kind of like how when Agumon or when Greymon Digivolved into Skull Greymon, not Metal Greymon.
Oh, but that's a little bit different. That's a Dark Digivolution. This is just a Digivolution. And even Devamon can Digivolve into Myotismon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, but there's also Neo Devamon, who is his other ultimate form. So like, if you look at Digivolution lines, they're like trees where like there is always like they're hatchling form, then they're in training form, and then from there they can branch off into different places, which is why you mentioned the problem that you had when you played the Digimon game, where Agumon kept Digivolving to Tyrannomon.
Yeah, exactly.
But Agumon isn't the only Digimon who could Digivolve into Tyrannomon, so can Gaussmon.
Who's Gaussmon?
So Gaussmon is generally speaking Tyrannomon's in training rookie form. Mm-hmm. But so like there are different paths that you can take. And I'm going to get to one that's really interesting that happened to me this week a little later with TK. But Digivolutions can sometimes be specifically like, like there's Marine Devamon and Ice Devamon. Well, that's probably because the environment created this idea that, well, when Devamon Digivolves, he wants to be more attuned to the environment. But there's also different paths that Digimon can take. For, like you said, Agumon can Digivolve. No. Greymon can Digivolve into Metal Greymon can Digivolve into Machine Dramon. Yeah. Metal Greymon can Dark Digivolve into Machine Dramon. That is possible. But that's not his normal Digivolution. Machine Dramon does have a normal Digivolution line where he can just show up. But Metal Greymon can also Dark Digivolve into Machine Dramon. But Metal Greymon can also Digivolve into War Greymon or Blitz Greymon.
Who's Blitz Greymon?
Blitz Greymon is another mega form from Metal Greymon.
Hold up, I need to look this up. I don't know who Blitz Greymon is, and I am very intrigued. Wow, this is a rabbit hole.
My friend, I went down so many like Salamon, who's Garamon's rookie form, is a dog.
Yeah,
which I never put two and two together. But also, Garamon is not Salamon's only form. Salamon can Digivolve into something else. I think even Leomon's part of that line.
Holy crap! Blitz Greymon looks rad.
There's also such things as War Greymon X and Metal, and there's another Omnimon. There's a second Omnimon that is like Blitz Greymon and the other Metal Garurumon is not the only mega that Rare Garurumon can make. There's another Garurumon, I forgot his name, but they can make an Omnimon also.
Oh, apparently Blitz Greymon's a virus type.
That makes sense.
Kreska Rurumon?
Yeah, and then they can Digivolve to a different version of Omnimon.
That's what they called. They call him Omegamon.
Well, Omegamon is the Japanese version of Omnimon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Omegamon and Omnimon.
Oh, yeah. I see Omegamon. Oh, wow. Yeah, Omegamon Alter.
And Omnimon can Digivolve.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is
There's so much that has happened in the Digimon universe. And hey, this is me addressing the audience now. Both of us dropped off. He dropped off earlier than I did, but I dropped off the Frontier. So like there was a lot of Digimon lore that has been created since we stopped watching the show, since we stopped watching the series. So coming back to this has been really fun because I'm basically catching up on all the new things that have happened in the time since. Mm-hmm. And so it's like insane to like think about. Like I told you how Patamon can Digivolve in Digimon 2020. Patamon can either Digivolve into Angemon or Pegasusmon. Mm-hmm. He has alternate champion forms. Magna Angemon, by the way, you know how Magna Angemon has a black arm?
Yeah.
the Digimon Adventure 2020 has contextualized that in a really cool way to say that is actually Devimon. In
Ooh.
in Digimon Adventure 2020, spoilers for anyone who cares, Devimon was revealed to be a dark reflection created from a virus within Angemon. So they are actually, in fact, one person, one Digimon. So when Angemon and Devimon finally fought for the final time, Angemon had to accept the darkness within himself, which allowed him to digivolve into his ultimate form, which gave with the black arm. And so the black arm is Devimon's power still within him. And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
That actually is kind of cool. Yeah.
Anyway, so I went down this long ass rabbit hole of just looking up Digivolution lines because it's not linear like Pokemon is. Like you would assume that it's very. If you just watch Digimon, that's the first season of Digimon, you would expect that outside of extraneous circumstances like the armor Digivolutions or the
Or the
dark
dark
Digivolutions,
mm-hmm.
It's linear. But it's
Yeah.
not. And there's so many different. Anyone can go down a different Digivolution path. It's so insane to see, and it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I think I know I talked about it last time with playing Digimon World because on the strategy guide that I have, or I'm pretty sure I still have it, like when I was flipping through that book and I was seeing all the different Digivolution lines, and even back with the original like Digivolution or the Digimon Tamagotchi, like the original square one, where when Digimon was first originally announced or came to being, there were different, like the way you treat your Digimon, there was different evolution trees.
Yeah.
And I think that when I was going through that as a kid, I just figured this is just dealing with the video games, whereas the show was completely different.
Yeah, although I'll be honest, it doesn't feel right when Agumon digivolves to Tyrannomon. It just doesn't feel right.
No, it
It's got to
doesn't.
be Greymon. It's got to be
Funny,
Greymon.
funny enough, I actually found out why. There's a TikToker I follow, and I wrote on her thing about how every time I had Agumon, he always digivolved to Tyrannomon, and then someone answered back is like, "Oh yeah, you have to like do a certain thing, and then he digivolves into Greymon." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, but Greymon should be his default, not Tyrannomon.
It should be because the show, like watching the first two seasons, like watching the shows, like the original Digimon episodes, you get so attached to seeing these characters digivolve. It's just like you see Agumon, Greymon, Gabumon, Garurumon, Palmon, Togemon, so on and so forth, that even in the video games, when they can digivolve it to something completely different, you just go, it doesn't feel right. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of that, but even like in the show when they did like I guess in Digimon 2020 when you're telling me that, oh yeah, they could digivolve into other things, like if Patamon could also digivolve into Devimon, honestly that kind of makes sense in a weird way.
Yeah, and Palmon digivolved into a Ponchomon. So Togemon is normally her Digivolution of choice, but she once digivolved into a character called Ponchomon, which was interesting. Ponchomon's weird. Anyway,
Okay.
but we should get back to the movie.
Yeah. Get back to that was a fun tangent.
What threw us on this tangent? What were we talking about before we went on this tangent?
All
right, let's find something else to talk about. So during this when they're eating, I just want to mention that there's a really funny moment when they're all eating and they're all getting to know each other, all the Digimon. That Mimi has created candy sushi, and it is the only thing that the Digimon hate eating, and I find that very funny.
Except for Koromon, because that little garbage disposal will eat anything. Like Koromon is like munching away, and like Sunomon is just like, I just love how Sunomon's face is just like, and it's like that famous anime face where the eyes are all white and you get the dark lines where it's just like absolute disgust, and the rest of the Digimon hate it, but he's just like munching away. Mimi is somewhat flirting with Izzy, and Izzy's like, I don't know about this.
There's a lot of good comedy in these moments. Like Gabumon calls Matt Mr. Matt, and I just think that's so funny. And like he's blushing a little bit. Oh, Mr. Matt. Yeah. Like he's become like a waifu.
Yeah, and then of course, well, he gets stuck with Tai. Well, he doesn't get stuck with Tai, but he ends up with Tai, and he's like, "Oh, I'm all alone." And Tai's like, "What am I? I'm right here."
Yeah, I love that. When he's just like, "I'm all alone. I found myself all alone." And he's like, "I'm right here." The splitting the Digimon up with with not their partners was also, I thought, a really good idea.
Mhm.
Because it like they all know each other, and so like it's not like the Digimon are going to be left alone.
Right.
But pairing them different with different people allows the Digimon to kind of realize, like, oh, actually, I want to be with my
My partner,
person. I
yeah.
want to be with my partner.
Yeah,
Um, Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I love the partnering with Tentawan and Mimi, Matt and Izzy with Gomamon and Agumon, like the whole like train and Agumon still talking about food. It's like,
Mhm.
Agumon, we get it.
Agumon, that garbage disposal, as you put
That
it.
garbage disposal I almost called him a Pokemon. That garbage disposal of a Digimon. Like when he goes
Um,
to Tai with noodles in his mouth earlier in the film, I'm just like, this kid, this little, yep, hasn't changed at all. Just
uh,
always thinking about food.
I really appreciate the moment when Ty and Matt go to not confront Sora, but like to talk to Sora on the log. I think it's really sweet because it's the Trinity, right? Like they're basically the Trinity.
Yeah.
Um, and so having them kind of like, and Matt kind of like being Matt, not really knowing that he can say something, but knowing what the right thing to say is, and hoping that Ty will. But Ty doesn't know what to say because he's Ty. Um, and but like it's interrupted because Agumon has somehow ended up on a log floating down the river.
I even wrote a note. I wrote a note. Of course, it's Agumon who would stop Tai from helping out.
Yeah, it's just
Like
really funny because like, how do you do that?
I just love how Tai is saying we're not going to leave here. We're going to stay right with you. And then Agumon's just floating down the log on the river. Like right when Tai says it, Agumon's floating on the log and he goes, ah! And he goes, tries to get Agumon, even making Sora even more upset because he literally just said, we're not going to leave the spot until we talk about this. And literally he just ups and leaves. And he's like, I can't let the little guy drown. And Agumon's like, how did I get here? It's like,
Yeah, I
Agumon,
mean,
buddy.
at this point, they are basically their children.
Yep.
Um, but we also learn a little later in the movie that Biomon is being so dickish because she doesn't want Sora to be reliant on her because she says like, I don't know you, you don't know me, you can't put this on me. You need to be your own person. But like even we can tell that Biomon by the time they were all split up, Biomon has started to come around to Sora. She's just not quite ready, and she's even
Mhm.
seeing that Sora there is value in a relationship with Sora, but she doesn't want to be codependent on her.
Yeah,
Which I think there's a lot of nuance there. I do appreciate. Again, like I think the stuff with Sora is all really strong. Like
it is.
I'm really into it.
I 100% agree because seeing Sora just so heartbroken throughout the film about how everyone else is getting along with their partner Digimon like nothing ever happened. Although it's funny because when Mimi's holding it on to Tanamon and Tanamon's constantly saying "Don't eat me," and Mimi's like "I'm not gonna eat you." Stop saying it. It's really cute. And even what's Tentomon's in training form? What's his name?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know most of their in training form
I
names.
know it starts with an M, but I forgot it.
Mochimon doesn't
Maybe?
sound right at all.
No, I forgot. Anyways, like the cute little purple puffball is
Mhm.
constantly asking Izzy questions, and they're they're getting along swimmingly. Even Bukamon is and Gomamon, they're just they're everyone's getting along fine, but until we get to Yokomon being a dick.
Well, even when they're attacking Machine Dramon, there's even like a proud dad moment that Joe has. Wow, that was a great marching fishes.
Yeah.
Or not when they're fighting Machine Dramon, when they're fighting Dark Chennai.
Uh
Um,
huh.
do you want to talk about Dark Chennai?
I think there's like one more note I have. Oh yeah. I have two more. I have two notes before I get to Dark Jedi. First one being, damn, Hackmon got a deep voice.
Yeah, so we finally learn who Hackmon is, which is
Yeah.
a Digimon that we've been seeing in the background of a lot of this movie, and now we finally learn he's the narrator, right? Like his voice has been the narrator up until this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get a nice little info dump that doesn't make a lot of sense.
But
What
it
does he
does.
say?
He talks about how he talks about King Drazel. He talks
Yes.
about how Jedi was used to be the balance, but he's fully accepted the dark, so the light is in trouble, and he's playing into and Jedi is helping King Drazel. The reboot was essentially all planned by King Drazel, and Jedi is now Dark Jedi. And I also wrote, it's like, oh shit, Jedi is evil now. We're screwed.
Yeah. So Jedi. You also have another note about Jedi. I do want to highlight.
We will get to that, but before that, I also wrote like how the f did Mako get in the Digiworld, but we probably don't really need to. That's neither here nor there. She just ends up there because
It's
you know
probably if I had to guess, she was called there by Mekumon.
probably yeah, and
Because
also
you
her
can
Digivice brought her there too.
her Digivice would have allowed her to go there. Like I think there is a case to be made throughout both Digimon Adventure and Digimon Adventure 2 that if your partner Digimon wants you badly enough, anything can be a gate.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to just open a gate. Anything can be a gate, and you can be brought to the digital world in that way. And I think that's probably what happened with Mako.
Yeah, and but at first I was like, how? At first I was like, wow, did you get that? But then I just let it go because it's Digimon. I'm like,
Or Jedi brought her there.
or that true. That's also true. I also have who was King Drazel, but we don't know who that is yet. My favorite note that I have is about Jedi, and it's just gross.
Yeah, so Jedi is disgusting. He licks Sora. Yeah,
yeah, that's the
gross, unnecessary. Didn't need
not
that.
only that, even later on when he tells Mako to just relax, it'll all be over soon. Was like, are you gonna SA her? What?
Oh,
What's going on?
I thought he was gonna kill her.
I thought okay, after he licks Sora, I'm like, oh no, this guy is like evil horny. This is bad times. This is like, it's like get the rape whistle out right now and start blowing that shit.
It's really kind of unfortunate that we don't. It's really funny that we learn about Jedi in this movie, because like there's a line earlier in the movie where they're just like, yeah, I've been trying to call Jedi, but I can't get a hold of him. Like that's the first time that Izzy has thought about calling Jedi in this whole franchise, and this whole movie series. And then we learn that the reason why is because he's Dark Jedi now. It's a really interesting way to take Jedi. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I have to see kind of where it goes, because I'm not sure like what the point is. Like, why couldn't this just be anyone else? Why couldn't this be Himikawa?
I don't know. Oh, speaking
Why
of
couldn't she be the villain?
That, you know what, that could have, yeah, or at least because we know Himikawa is an antagonistical force, but she's an
But again, she
antagonist.
doesn't interact with the Digidestin anymore.
No, she doesn't. And when we do see her fighting Tapirmon, that is heartbroken, but at the same time, you can tell she's lost it.
Oh, I really like that scene also. Like when she finds Tapirmon and she's like, we're going to be partners forever and I'm never going to let anything happen to you again. And you're just like, take a step back.
Yeah, that's very upset. Like, because at least Sora, because I want to say like Himikawa and Sora, they both want the same goal, but they're both going at it completely differently. Like Sora, obviously both of them want to be partners wants to be with their partner Digimon because they have such a strong bond together. Whereas Himikawa is being very obsessive and forceful and like, no, you're stuck with me, kid. And, very possessive. Sora, while she is still trying to like break away Yokomon / Biomon's guard, she's also giving Biomon boundaries in a weird way. Like she's not forcing Biomon to do anything. And then Biomon eventually, slowly but surely, obviously she comes around, she digivolves, and that's a really cool digivolution sequence, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. And even Biomon says is like, I figure I better be nice to you if I want more of those meatballs. Because she's like, yeah, exactly. Sora's cooking is like top tier. But then of course she learns and she's like, why are you being so nice to me? And then Biomon says, hey, the hard truth, you gotta stop relying on me, you gotta take care of yourself and all this other stuff. And then slowly but surely Biomon, like when Biomon does her spiral twister to knock Jedi away and says get away from her, I'm like, yeah, go Biomon.
Yeah, so let's talk about her Digivolution sequence, because you're right, it is really cool. Phoenixmon, awesome. Happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I run into the maybe we shouldn't have rebooted. Maybe we shouldn't have erased their memories because she Biyomon has digivolved for the very first time when she goes from Yokomon to Biyomon. She has never digivolved before. She's basically just a fresh egg.
Mm-hmm.
She went from that to being able to access her Mega. This is the same problem I had in the last movie that I speculated with you that like I'm concerned that because we're still going to be introduced to these megas, it's going to feel a little hollow when they aren't, when it's just like, okay, well, now you have a mega. Okay, now you have a mega. Now you have a mega. Because
Mm-hmm.
what does TK do here in the
He
same
gets a
scene?
mega. Yeah.
Patamon is just like, I want to do that. Okay. And he does it. And so like, it's not, it's going to sound really like bad, but it's not earned.
Right.
I do think Biomon's mega is earned because
Mm-hmm.
because Sora went through the trials, and so leveling up. I do think that's earned. I do think it's slightly hollow because Biomon has never digivolved before this moment. But TK's mega, Patamon's mega should have been the last movie. It should have
Yeah.
been. It should have been Seraphimon.
Yeah. Seraphimon.
It should have been Seraphimon in the last movie, not Hercules Kabuterimon.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would have made more sense than Hercules Kabuterimon.
Yeah.
If you put Patamon in Tentamon's place in that with that scene on top of the thing, it's like I have to save my friends. It's the same scene, but it makes more sense because the movie has been about TK up until that moment.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is not about TK. However, TK gets his mega. Patamon gets his mega purely because Patamon says, "Who wouldn't want that power?"
Yeah, that's a little out
It,
of character for
it
Patamon.
just rings a little hollow. It just rings a little hollow, not necessarily out of character for me. It rings a little hollow because like I watched the whole show and the show, every Digivolution was earned. It was
Yeah.
because they went through trials to learn to earn the Digivolutions from their champions to their ultimates to tie in Matt's megas. And like it sucked that the other Digidestin didn't get their megas, but I would say that Vikemon was earned.
Oh yeah.
I think 100% Vikemon was earned.
Oh, 100%.
Joe's trial in that second movie, with Ikakumon and Zudomon being beaten and then learning to like access your mega form is earned and 100% great and a great moment and a really triumphant moment.
I would also agree with Rosemon too.
Rosemon is just kind of funny because like it's purely out of spite. It does work still because like it is still Mimi's movie and she is able to and she does go through trials but it's not quite the same, so it's a little less earned. Yeah. I still like it because because that's who Mimi is. Like Mimi is the kind of person like I want to do that too. But the next time we get a mega, and even like Hercules Kabuterimon, I don't think that that's his movie, but I do think that moment is earned.
Oh,
for Tentamon. And I even say that Biomon's mega is earned.
I would,
except for the fact that she doesn't fight Machine Dramon as Birdramon or fight Machine Dramon as Garudamon. She just kind of goes from Biomon to Phoenixmon with no trial, with no whatever, and it just kind of goes against the logic the original show put down, which was that these Digivolutions are made in sequence because they're growing, they're learning, they're accessing more power as they evolve. They're not just digivolving, they're evolving. They're learning. Their bond continues to get stronger and stronger. But if you put that bond at 0, why do you go from 0 to 100? And you do it because you need to introduce Phoenixmon in this movie. That's the only reason why you do it. So, but you don't have that ramp up anymore, and so it feels more hollow than it would have if you hadn't done that reboot. See what I'm saying?
No, I do. Not to argue, but I also want us to say that I also think the mega evolution of Agumon and Gabumon is somewhat earned, and also you get a little.
Sure.
And I would say in this movie is because they realize that we do have a bond. We may not remember exactly what happened, but they will, like, both of these Digimon, like when Tai and Matt are drowning and they're falling down after trying to chase off Metal Seedramon, both of them are like, we need to help these guys.
Mhm.
And it's a little reminiscent of, I wouldn't say it's a little bit reminiscent of how when Matt and Tai got shot by Angelomon and Angemon to help evolve Agumon and Gabumon into their megas.
Sure, yeah.
And it's
I
like,
I can see that.
and when it's like, hey, it's like, we will be with you. Like, part of me wants to say that they're then possibly getting their memories back when they do make a Digivolve.
That's my other thing. If when it's if when the bond is solidified that accesses their evolution, no matter what it is, I would have preferred if it also unlocked their memories.
Yeah.
So
That.
like that would help the Phoenixmon moment for me.
Uh-huh.
And even even in the Seraphimon moment for me, because like, okay, well now if they're like, hey, if Agumon and Gabumon reach down and you see like their digivices are glowing now and that the connection has been reformed and their bond has been reformed, that unlocks the Digimon's memories. That feels better to me. That
Oh yeah.
feels like we're now no longer starting at zero. We're back, baby. We're here. We can get back to business.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping for that, but no. Darn.
But the Seraphimon moment is probably the worst offender of this one because I think it's in the wrong movie,
Yeah.
which I've mentioned before, and it purely just happens because they decided that it had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But what's funny about this moment, and I've told you I would bring this up in the beginning of the episode, is in 2 days I was introduced to 2 different megas for Patamon. So I watched Digimon Adventure Tri Loss, and we get Seraphimon. Cool design. I like Seraphimon. I'm always a sucker for whatever warrior angel he's supposed to be.
Yep. Yep. Like Seraphimon is based off of. Sorry, just to go in like quick lore of what
Go for it.
Seraphimon is supposed to be. In the Bible, there's these angels that are like literally the right hand and the hands of God, and those are known as seraphim. Those
Okay.
angels are essentially, they report directly to God. So to have, I mean, because you have other angels, but then you have the seraphim who are like the ones that God sends out when you done effed up.
The next day, I watched Digimon Adventure 2020, and I was introduced to Goldramon.
What the blip? What kind of
So
Neon Genesis Evangelion angel is that?
So Goldramon is the other mega form that Magna Angemon can reach, and was reached in the episode where he's a massive dragon type Digimon, that is like a celestial dragon type is what he's called.
Ooh,
So
that's
like the
cool.
idea is that he's and so like he and Angelomon also digivolved into another dragon type Digimon. To fight Millenniumon. And so like it was really funny that like in literally 2 days I was introduced to 2 different mega evolutions for Magma Andromon. I just thought that was funny.
That is pretty funny. I like that.
Yeah, so like it just feels like reaching these megas at this point is easy, and which is weird because I never felt like the champion level was easy or the ultimate level was easy. I mean, Greymon literally Dark Digivolved because he couldn't Digivolve into his ultimate form, right?
Mm, right.
Like that was a big deal because like there was it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be earned. It
Yeah.
always has been earned. And
And also,
I'm not saying that like this is like a Rey Skywalker needs to earn her power type situation. I'm just talking specifically within like the what Digivolutions represent
yeah.
as far as our main characters. It just feels a little hollow at this point with
Yeah.
the reboot.
Yeah. If I may to go on there, not only does when Agumon digivolves, when Greymon digivolves and male Greymon is not only earned, but it also makes it an even more impactful because Tai was forcing him to digivolve.
Yes.
He tried to force Agumon to digivolve because he was the first to get his crest. And then Jedi said, hey, there's a digivolution after your champion levels. So you this is how you can fight Edamon. You need to find these crests and you can digivolve even further. And of course, because Ty gets all like he's the leader of like the ipso facto leader, but he's also very power hungry in those early episodes. He's also like very like ready for a fight. He's like, yeah, let's go, let's go. And when he forces Agumon, he realizes his mistake. That's why he's so hesitant on letting Agumon fight for those next string of episodes, because he's so devastated of what he did to his friend. And then when he does get Metal Greymon, it is 100% earned. And then you get that great episode in the real world for a hot second, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, it just kind of, it gets to the point where when you have already set down what these Digivolutions are supposed to represent, which is not just the Digimon reaching a new power level, but it is the humans reaching a new point in their lives. It just it kind of makes me wonder, like, oh, if Patamon could just be like, I want to be a mega, and he does it. He does it in this movie. We see it. He's just like, I want to be a mega, and does it. Why didn't they do that before? Like, why was that level so unreachable before this moment? And like, I guess you could say that there is something in the digital world manipulating the Digimon to give them the ability to become these megas, which is why this power is manifesting now. But that's not explicitly text. That's me working backwards to find an excuse for why this has become so easy. It just is. It just is weird, because like, if it was always this easy, why didn't it always happen? And the answer is because it was never supposed to be this easy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, at this point, everyone's got a mega except for Angelomon, right?
Yeah, I think she gets introduced in the next film.
Yeah, so we have Hercules Kabuterimon, Rosemon, Vikemon, who I love Vikemon. Metal Greymon, Metal Garurumon, War Greymon, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Seraphimon.
Mm-hmm.
And
did we say Phoenixmon? Did we say
Phoenixmon? Phoenixmon, thank you. So the only one left is Angelomon.
Yeah.
To get her mega.
Yeah, we saw the mega forms of all the original, or even though Kari is technically an original Digidestined,
she's the eighth child.
Yeah, she's the eighth child. Yeah, she's the only one who hasn't gotten to her mega form just yet.
And technically, I guess we haven't seen Mekumon's mega.
No, not yet.
Just her. I assume that's her ultimate form at the end of this.
Yeah.
Not her mega form. It could be her mega form. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's her ultimate form. I think her mega form is on the cover of Coexistence, which is the next film after this.
I think so. Okay, well, I guess that's all I got.
Yeah. I also have to say that is one hell of a cliffhanger ending, where you see Genai just look up at Mekumon's ultimate level, and he's all chanting, he's all like crazy mad with power, and yeah, it was really, I mean, it was kind of hard for me to not put in Coexistence right after this movie ended, because I really wanted to watch what happened next. I wanted to see.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, but even I do agree with the gripes of the movie, especially with Himekawa, because I want to see more of her. I want to see her interact with the Digidestined more. But at the same time, the stuff with the Digidestined, especially with Sora, and once again dealing with her feel of loss, how not only did Yokomon lose her memory, but also she's dealing with the loss of, like, my friend isn't my friend anymore, and she doesn't want anything to do with me, whereas everyone else does.
Yeah.
And even though Himekawa is a very like, it's brief in the film, we see that the whole reason Himekawa's driving force throughout almost her entire life, since the battle with the Dark Masters, since the Harmonious Ones became the Harmonious Ones, she has had one goal, and that is to get Tapirmon back.
Yeah, she has been wanting this reboot. She was even, like, we see her like in a flashback that she was thinking, like, how is a reboot possible? But a reboot of the digital world wasn't possible until Mekumon showed up.
And Nishijima is like, just like, but I could be your partner. It's like, oh, so cute. But then she's like,
this is my chance to get some. I could be your partner.
And she's like, haha, maybe, but she still has a driving horse for Tapirmon. And then when she finally does get Tapirmon back, and Tapirmon is essentially acting like Yokomon Biomon is, but Himikawa just goes
Well,
not full tilt, but
Tapirmon's not acting like a dick.
no.
Tapirmon's scared. Like this person just showed up and is being very aggressive. And Tapirmon's like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, like when Tapirmon says, "I don't know you and I don't want to know you," and Himikawa still forces herself on Tapirmon, it's like, yeah, sorry, you don't have a choice in this matter. It's like, okay, that's kind of creepy. Red flags.
Tapirmon's kind of cute.
Yeah, it's like red flags. A lot of red flags.
Tapirmon Digivolution line. Let's find out what they turn.
You know what? I'm going to bet Mammothmon is one of them.
I always thought Mammothmon was the one, but we see the snake dude with the claws.
Yeah, I want to say, is that Aerodramon?
I don't remember. All right, oh my god. Are you kidding me?
What?
What's Patamon's in training form?
Tokomon?
One of Tokomon's evolutions is Tapirmon.
Oh.
What the hell? Okay, let's see here. Okay, a lot of people are saying it's Tapirmon can turn into Mammothmon, which we figured. It looks like the kind of the ideal line of Tapirmon is Mammothmon.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like a line that, like Agumon, Greymon, Metal Greymon, like that's the line there. But let's see. Next forms Monochromon. Okay, so Monochromon, I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is interesting. So what's the Digimon? What's the snake Digimon with the claws?
I want to say it's Aerodramon.
Aerodramon? How do you think you spell it?
Aerodramon.
Aerodramon. Let's find out. That's a band. Aerodramon. Sorry, corrected to it.
Aerodramon. Maybe it's like DRA, like dragon.
I'm gonna type in Digimon and we'll see what happens. Okay, no, it's not. Airdramon is not that.
Okay.
God, I
know it's just one of those Digimon that because I know it's in my strategy guide.
Seamless dude.
Yeah, no, it's in my strategy guide for Digimon World, but it's buried. I have to dig it out, and I don't want to dig it out right now.
Hold on, I'm gonna dead air. We're gonna figure this out. Snake Digimon with, what do you call those things? Like pincers?
Yeah, like claws? Pincers. I would say pincers
with claws and wings. Let's see what happens. That's Geomon. That's Phoenixmon. I don't want that. Oh man. Okay. You guys can leave, by the way. The audience can leave now. The movie's over. You don't have to do it. You don't have to be part of this anymore.
But we're talking about fun Digimon.
Snake Digimon with what are those, like cannons, I guess, like cannons. Cannons and wings. Who is red? He's red, right?
Yeah, he's red.
That's just Geomon. Why are you giving me Geomon? All right, that's kind of close. That could be a dude. Man, I don't know. All right, this will be for the next movie. For the next movie, then.
This will be for the next movie, yeah.
Because I don't know how Tapirmon digivolves into that.
Right.
Thing. Because it feels like that should be Mammothmon. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it, guys. That's the whole movie. If you're still here.
Us just right. And I remembered how we fell down that Digivolution rabbit hole. We were talking about Elecmon.
Elecmon, you're correct. All right, so that'll do it, guys. Next time we'll be talking about Digimon Adventure Tri Coexistence.
Mm-hmm.
Part 5.
Yep, the third to last, including Last Evolution Kazuna, the third to last, and not including the penultimate Digimon film before we get to Future.
So we are We are after, so once we're doing Try, obviously we'll do Last Evolution Kazuna, and then whenever the American release date for the beginning is, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that fun stuff. So that'll do it, guys. Of course, you can check out all sorts of things. A lot of our content currently is Struck, is with Struck Work, so we're not releasing a lot of it. So please check out our website at fakenerdpodcast.com to see what is being released and what is not. There's plenty of stuff going on for the Fake Nerd Book Club and Basement Arcade that you can check out. A lot of fun stuff going on there if you're video game nerds or if you're comic book nerds. And if you're here, you're probably one of those two. A lot of cool things there. Check out our Patreon and our TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. We greatly appreciate it. It would help a lot for us to do more stuff when the strikes are over. And you can find us on Fake Nerd Podcast and all the social medias where we upload updates for everything. So that's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also find me at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter and Letterboxd. Check out my Letterboxd. Where I also write for AtomicGeekdom.com and KaijuRamenMedia.com, where I am also the website editor. Ben, where can people find you?
Well, you could find me at BenMagnet27 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, pretty much all the social medias that are out there. And you can also find me writing for Fusion Gaming Magazine, GoNintendo.com, Old School Gamer Magazine, and also playing Mary Frankenstein in the Dungeons & Dragons style podcast, D and Dark.
Very cool. Until next time we see us, guys, stay fake nerds.